Welcome back to Page Farmstead. Since the last time I saw you, I've been working hard to get this ceiling cleaned up, and today we're going to be working on lighting, electrical, and getting a new ceiling installed. So stay with me, we've got a good video. So since the last time that you saw this, I've spent a long time, a few hours pulling nails and screws out of this ceiling. There were about a bazillion, and I pulled all of them by hand with a pair of pliers. I chose to do it that way to just keep everything clean and nice and make sure that I didn't drop a bunch of nails on a space where we're going to be driving. So we decided to go with a 7-inch wide shiplap to cover this back up. Probably not the single cheapest thing we could have done, but I think it's going to look really good when it's done. So I'm going to go pick up the shiplap a little bit later today, and in the meantime, I'm going to work on the electrical here. So I don't know if you'll remember, but we took out a single light fixture that was right here in the middle of the carport, and it was doing a pretty poor job of illuminating the carport. That fixture had an integral, a built-in motion detector, and that motion detector was either not particularly sensitive or dirty or not calibrated, or I don't know what happens to those, but you had to wave your arms around and dance around a whole bunch to get it to turn on. And then when it did turn on, it did not put out much light. Well, we decided to go with our recessed lights for out here. So I got damp rated indoor outdoor recessed lighting, LED recessed lighting, to cover this space. I do want it to be motion activated so that as you come out the door or as you pull in with a car, it will kick on. So I bought a replacement motion sensor for a motion sensor light. One of those that looks like an alien. So this is just a replacement for one of those, but what I'm going to try to do with this is mount it independently and have it control the recessed lighting. So I think that's going to work, but I don't know. So that's the first thing we're going to work on, is just laying out that electrical. Now seems like a pretty good time to talk about the fact that I'm not an electrician. I've never worked for an electrical contractor. I'm not an electrical engineer. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is not a tutorial. I'm just showing you what I'm up to. As always, I'm just showing you what I'm up to. So we'll see. I think what we're going to do here is lay out 5 fixtures in this area, and then in the small ceiling over here, just 1 for that space. So a total of 6 fixtures for the whole space. I think that's going to be more than adequate, and all of those will be activated, turned on and off by this motion sensor, as well as a switch inside, of course. The first thing is, obviously I took the light fixture that was in the middle out, and I want to keep that same switch. So when I was removing nails and stuff from the ceiling, I went ahead and removed the junction box for that fixture from the rafter, and I'm going to move it over to this sidewall here. Then I'm going to go around and measure out for all the other lights and go ahead and place the junction boxes for all of the light fixtures. So here we go. Okay, so right here is the junction box, which held up the light fixture previously. I'm going to take it and I'm going to swing it over to this wall and then mount it to a rafter close to the wall over there. And this is what the motion sensor is going to sit in. So I want to put this over close to the wall, but not on it. Maybe just off the wall here. Let me bring you guys over a little closer. Okay, so I'm going to try to mount the box right here on this rafter. This is pretty close to the midpoint of this wall, so I think that'll be pretty good. I'm going to pull it off the wall just a little bit, maybe mount the bracket of this junction box up against the end of this tail. The material that I got, the shiplap, is 9/16 thick, and the upper indicator here is about 1/2 inch, not quite 1/2 inch. I think it's 7/16 from the face of the box to that indicator. So I'm going to use that one. That should keep the box just above the shiplap itself, and that'll be just fine. So I don't know if you noticed, but there's a totally exposed electrical connection right here. I didn't do that. I just found it as I was doing this project. So don't worry if you're seeing that. I will fix it. I don't have a junction box on hand, but when I go to pick up the shiplap, I'll get a junction box and I will clean that up too. So, okay, let's get this in place. All right, so here's a little bit closer look. I'm gonna run one more screw into this, but looks pretty good. We are sitting at about 1/2 inch or just shy to the bottom of this box. So that should be perfect for our 9/16 shiplap to go and be just lower than the lip of the box. So perfect. I'm gonna put one more screw into the top, into the bracket here, and that junction box will be good to go. Okay, so this wiring is a little loosey-goosey, so I'm just going to pull it through and then tighten down the clamp. Okay, much better. All right, so this junction box is where I'm going to hang the motion sensor. So that motion sensor will effectively work as a switch. So this comes from the switch inside the house on the wall. And as long as that is on, then when the motion sensor sees motion, it'll be able to switch and send power to all the lights. So next thing I'm gonna do is start running wire for the rest of the lights. Okay, so what I have here are the light fixtures that I'm gonna be using. These are 6-inch round recessed lights, LED recessed lights. So if you've never seen one of these, I'll show you. This is the light itself. So it's this is what it'll be showing from the ceiling. And then these are really, really thin style one. So these go up and will clip into the ceiling. And you see each one of these has a little plug that comes off of it. And that plug goes to this junction box. So here's the other end of the plug. And then this little junction box you mount up in the ceiling, and then you just run 120 volt power straight to this. So all I need to do is run power into and out of one of these. So we'll kind of daisy chain them. So power from the switch and then power out to the next light. I'll go ahead and mount these boxes, not the fixtures themselves, but just these boxes to the rafter where the fixtures will eventually go. Then once I have the ceiling installed, I will cut holes into the ceiling to put the fixture into, and I'll just plug them in and place the fixture. So that part will be pretty easy. So what I'm gonna start doing now is running the wire between the junction boxes, and as I get to each location, I'm gonna go ahead and place one of these junction boxes for each light fixture. Okay, well, the day kind of got away from me yesterday. I went for what should have been a pretty quick trip to the hardware store, and it ended up being hours-long trip to the hardware store. So I had some plans yesterday evening, and I just didn't get back to working on this. So, you know, sometimes things just go sideways. So I'm gonna pick up right where I left off, and we're gonna start pulling wire for these light fixtures. The first thing I'm gonna do is take a few measurements and make sure that I know what my lighting layout is gonna be. So I don't think I mentioned it yesterday, but I talked to my wife and we decided we'd put a decorative hanging fixture right here as well. All right, so I've got my layout here. So back here is the door. So back there's the door. So then I'm gonna have 5 fixtures out here in this area. And then we're gonna have one hanging decorative light back here, kind of over top of the door. Then there's the little section of ceiling right over here. And that's just gonna be one light centered right in the middle. Okay, so now that I got some measurements, let's start pulling some wire and putting up J-boxes. Okay, so for a couple of reasons, I'm actually gonna start with this light that's gonna be right in the middle and work backwards to the motion sensor box. Mostly the reason is I will hook all these lights up and do a little test and just see how much light we have. And I think if I eliminate one, this will be the one that I eliminate. So I wanna put it at the end of the run. So I'm just gonna get measured up. I need to get these boxes close enough that when I go to put the lights in, the wires will reach. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mount this junction box for the light fixture. Right here, this is the center point on this rafter, and this rafter is as close to the center front to back as I can get. So I'm gonna mount this a little bit up off the bottom so I don't hit it when I'm cutting the hole for the light fixture. These light fixtures do come with a selectable color temperature. So I think for right now, I'm gonna run them on 3000 K. So let's get this put in. Okay, so I'm over here at the approximate location of our next box, and you guys are over right by the one we're working on. So I'm gonna feed a little wire over your way. All right. Okay, so I'm back over here now at the first box that we placed, and I'm just gonna get this cleaned up and ready to connect. So the light fixture junction boxes come with a connector for all 3 wires, actually, hot, neutral, and your earth, which is very nice. Just a push-in type connector. So I'm gonna flip you around so you can watch the connection. All right, well, hopefully you can see that. So this junction box comes with this strain relief that you just slip these wires right into. And then it has these connectors pre-installed on the hot, neutral, and ground for each one of these boxes. So pretty nice little setup there. Let's go ahead and make our connections first. One, hot to hot, and neutral. Perfect. Just gonna stuff these guys back in here. Okay. And then, so this actually hangs on to the wire there for you, this little strain relief. And then I'm gonna take this guy and tuck him up and around like this. That way when I go to drill the hole in the ceiling here, this isn't dangling down and potentially getting messed up. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so nothing really different about this one, other than, of course, I'm gonna have 2 wires coming into this one. So I'm gonna have the one coming in and then the one going out to the last fixture. So this is the side that's going to the fixture we just connected, and then this side is going to, this whole side is going to the spool of wire. So what I'm gonna do here, pull this from the last fixture, pull it not tight, but just pull the slack out so I'm not wasting wire. Okay, then I'm gonna cut it right here at the loop, and then I'll have 2 wires. So I'm gonna take this one coming from the last fixture. Now we're all set up. This is the wire going back to the spool, and this will eventually go to our next fixture. This up here is the one coming from the first fixture that we put in, the first box that we put in. So now we can connect all the blacks together and all the whites together and all the bare grounds together. Get it all pushed back into the box. So there you go, there's our second box. This is the wire coming from the first box that we placed, and this is the wire going out that will go to the next one. Right now it's just connected to the spool of wire. Everything connected and stuffed back in there. So we can close this up. All right. So that one looks good. I'm gonna put you guys down and set up a time lapse and try to knock out the rest of these. Okay, well, I wrapped up wiring in that motion sensor, and I had to do a little bit of troubleshooting. I guess the original circuit, it wasn't exactly how I thought it was, but not a big deal. I had to do a little bit of troubleshooting to get that all buttoned up. I didn't really want to show that exactly because I'm not positive that that motion sensor is really intended to be used this way. So I think if you're a motivated DIYer, you could figure out exactly how to do the same thing that I did there. But I will say that the connected load rating, the rating for that sensor that's on the box, is a lot higher than the total of these 6 lights that are downstream of it. So I think it's going to be totally fine, but I'm not sure if this is exactly how it was intended to be used. So anyhow, a little bit of wiring later and it is all buttoned up. I have gone through and hung all of the lights here. They're just dangling from their junction boxes by the plug, and I am going to give it a test. I have put the motion sensor in test mode, so it should be okay with running even though it is daytime right now. So I'm gonna go flip the switch and hopefully we'll get some light. So let's see. All right. Okay, the lights are on. I don't know, can you guys see one? Yeah, you can. Right there. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All 6 of them are on. All right, that is really exciting. Okay, yeah, so like I said, the motion sensor is in test mode right now, so it'll cycle on and off. I think it's every 5 seconds, or cycle off every 5 seconds until it sees motion. So I'm going to try to test it out just a little bit. I'll stand perfectly still. Okay, so it's definitely off now. And if I raise my hand, oh, it needs a bigger movement. Huh, okay. Seems like maybe it's not seeing me here. Okay. Okay, that worked. I think maybe it's just a little downward facing. Go tip it back up just a touch. Like that, maybe. Okay, yeah, that was good. It looks like it's got a little blue indicator on it also, which maybe indicates when it's seeing motion. So I guess it's seeing me here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but on the motion sensor itself, it's blinking a little blue light, I think, every time it sees motion. I'm not sure though. All right, very good. Well guys, I'm gonna call that a success. It does seem to be picking me up in most of this area, so pretty solid, you know. You never know, I never know when I do electrical projects exactly how it's gonna come out until I flip the switch. So it's good to see that all the lights are working and nothing's on fire. Both of those are really awesome. All right, well, it's time for me to pull these back down. I don't want them dangling there for too long. And then I'm gonna need to do a little bit of figuring to understand how it is that I'm gonna wire in our light over the doorway. I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna work. I don't want that on the motion sensor. I wanna be able to just turn it on and leave it on. So it's gonna be mostly decorative and just kind of a glow. It's not really gonna provide a whole lot of like sort of usable light, more of a decorative light. So I wanna be able to leave it on. So I need to do a little bit of investigation to figure out exactly what circuit I can use to power that light. So I'll do that off camera. I think I'm gonna call it a video here. I'm gonna pull these lights back down, and the next time that you guys see this project, we are gonna be putting ceiling in. I was able to pick the shiplap up, and so we got it here. It's ready to install. It is primed and ready. So next time I see you guys here, that's what we'll be doing, putting a ceiling in. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Page Farmstead.